All right, Mo, let's talk about your grandmother here real quick.
Well, I don't know exactly how to explain this, so I'll just say what it is. My friends, for a while, were under the impression that my grandmother sent me a text that was sexual in nature. Not toward me, but protecting me, if you will.
So it wasn't a GILF text.
No,
it was.
I'm trying to clarify here.
Yes,
no,
yeah.
like my grandmother wasn't hitting on me.
Got you.
Right?
Okay.
But it was like a,
Is it rated R?
there you go, like an X-rated text to you.
Somewhat, depending on how you read it. But the way she sent it, it even gave me like pause for a second. Like, there's no way that my grandmother meant to send me this. And it took a while for me to explain it because of some of the things surrounding the circumstances of how it happened.
So was it an accident? Was it meant for you?
Oh, nah, she meant every word of it.
Okay.
She meant the entire text.
To you.
To me. And when you hear it, you'll understand both sides of it, actually, how it could have came from her, but at the same time, how my friends read it and thought, what the hell is going on here?
I'm intrigued. So if your friends would have read this text and not knowing it was from your grandmother, it would have been received differently?
No, it still would have been sexual in nature.
Okay.
Like, completely, but it just makes it ironic that it came from my grandmother.
Again, clarifying, sexual in nature, but not sexual towards you.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Got it.
So here's how it happened.
We're all here.
Buckle
That's the way
in.
he went down. And I know my grandmother's listening thinking the same thing because she doesn't even know yet. But as life would have it, because life has the greatest sense of humor, the universe is hilarious. My grandmother had to get a new phone number in recent times for whatever reason because she wanted to change up all of her numbers. And so I didn't save the new number in my phone yet because it just happened, right? So it appears as if it's popping up from a random number on my computer. So me and like two of my friends are all gathered around my laptop because they're watching a video that I'm creating behind the scenes to promote my album that's coming out at the end of the month. So I wanted them to look at some things and help me move some things around. So if you have a MacBook, you know that if you have your settings set up to where you get notifications, your text messages all pop up on your computer and you can see them very clearly. So we're all watching it at first, nothing to see there, all normal. And then I go into the other room to get something and I hear like, it's kind of like laughter. And at the same time, like, whoa, what is Mo doing? And what's that about? Like that kind of thing going on.
And again, it doesn't say grandma.
No, it doesn't say grandma.
Because you haven't saved the new number. It's just a random number that pops up.
So now it really looks like it's like something. I have some explaining to do, basically, when I get back to this computer.
Thank God it wasn't your girl that was looking at your computer.
Yeah, that's a part of it, too, because she wasn't looking at the screen, but she was there. And I think that's why it was such like, do we say anything? Do we not? Who is this from? What's going on? Like, this entire moment is happening with my friends, and I have no idea. So as I walk into the room, I can, you know how you just can feel that everybody was just talking about you as soon as you walk in?
Yeah, and everybody gets real quiet, and they're looking at you like they think it's innocent, but you can totally tell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my lady's on one side of the room, my two friends on the other side of the room, and I walk in, and it's clear that my two friends are like looking at me like almost like children with this like giggly look.
Mischievous.
So I'm like, what happened? And I'm like, y'all don't like the video? Something happened to the video? And they're like, oh, no, it wasn't the video. So I'm like, well, what is it? So they're like, nothing, just check your text. So I'm like, oh, okay, so I got a text message. And I know that now. And then now they said it loud enough to where my lady's now listening, right? Now she's concerned. So I'm like, who could this possibly be? So I look at the text, and at first I go, I try to see whose number it is. So I'm like, I don't know that number. And then it hits me because I scrolled up, not the text that they saw, but I scrolled up to see the beginning of the thread. And it was like, good morning, my love. This is your grandma. This is her new number. So I was like, oh, nah, this is my grandmother. Not realizing that I had just made the situation 1,000 times worse because of what they read, but I still don't know what they read. So I'm like, now I'm feeling like a little better. I'm relieved. I'm like, oh, nah, y'all tripping. This is my grandmother. Like, this isn't. And they was like, well, your grandmother is trying to make sure that you good in your personal life. So obviously now my lady moves her laptop. She gets up. She walks over to the computer. What exactly did your grandmother say?
I bet.
So I'm like, what could this possibly be that would cause this level of confusion? So I read the text, and it's one of those texts it's a long text, so it came in 2 parts. And the second part is the only part that I guess they saw. They didn't pay attention to the first part. So the text reads, make sure your rubber is not too tight. We don't want to cut off your circulation.
What? What? From your grandmother?
From my grandmother, right? So now I'm even confused. Like,
first of all, rubber is such a grandmotherly way to say condom these
right?
days.
No, it is not. My grandmother never would have said. She would have said prophylactic.
Nobody uses the word rubber anymore.
Nobody does.
So I'm like, in all my years of living, my grandmother has never texted me about something like this. So why would she choose today? So I'm like, nah, there has to be some kind of explanation. So I scroll up now to see what the full text is, and it says, "Good morning, my love. I have an experiment I want you to try for the next 30 days. Wear a rubber band on your wrist, and every time you start to overthink something or find yourself slipping into the past, give the rubber band a tug so it snaps you back into the present moment.
I love
It's
that.
supposed to help with your overthinking.
Yes. And again, the message that everybody heard on the second.
Make sure the rubber is not too tight. We don't want to cut off your circulation."
That was like her sweet little afterthought.
Yes.
She sent the original text, and then grandma, I don't want him to cut off his circulation. I need to tell him to make sure the rubber's not too tight.
Exactly that.
In other words, she also saw the gray sweatpants picture.
The Bert Show.